they say that South Asia, much of South Asia and the Gulf, will be totally uninhabitable for humans by maybe 2050. Because all the predictions we had about future climate problems have come sooner than had been predicted. They're coming quicker. Some things we are seeing now, it will be 2050, but they are here already. They're getting, there is a study that shows that 2 elements of change are now almost irreversible. One of them may be to do with the ocean and the Arctic, the poles, the ice. And if that is true, all the mathematical models that we've been depending on to predict may have to be redone. To increase the speed, that is the likelihood of coming sooner. So we have no time to waste. Already 2024 has gone beyond the 1.5 degrees centigrade. You know that? It's hotter than the prediction we were trying to aim for. The Paris Agreement is 1.5. But we've gone beyond, faster than we ever thought. So, and it's most likely exponential. If we go to 2 degrees centigrade by 2050, in my little knowledge of these things, much of Africa will disappear. Mozambique cannot be Mozambique. Much of the West African, Lagos will be underwater. So Mombasa, not as much. We have some cliffs, so not as much. Mozambique to go all the way to near Zambia, in some cases. So a drought will be so vast and too much. There will be no water in so much. India cannot be lived in. What do 1 billion people do? So we are lucky that we have space. We are lucky that we have less extreme, I think. Our region is less than some, South Asia. I'm wondering if we can use this time to plan systematically and seriously. I think when we plan, we lack seriousness. We get reports, we throw them on the floor and nobody looks at them, but implement what has to be done. That is really critical and urgent, not to scare people, but to be prepared.
If you are given an opportunity to tell a leader in any of our counties 3 things that they can do and should do immediately.
Yes.
What are those 3 things that
it depends on the county.
Yeah.
Some counties are different. In the dry areas, dry land zone number 5, Wachira, Garissa, those, heat, that is buildings to be able to accommodate people, especially at night, heat element. That's very critical. 2, the increase in wind speed, even a breeze. There's more wind, more breeze now. It used to be leaves are calm. They're very rarely calm now. They're always moving because there's so much heat. Okay? The frequency of violent wind is now higher. So, like happened in the French island of Comoros, Mayotte. A storm came and wiped out all the poor people's residence. All of them were washed by the wind and the rain and the hurricane. So wind is going to be an issue for those counties and other counties. So these little, seemingly little impacts are very important for people to live properly in some counties. So it means they have to adapt the housing, put more brackets in the new buildings and refit old buildings with them so that the wind doesn't fly off the roof. So adaptation of current things, new regulations, even at county level, because they are different from national, for buildings, so that they adjust to new conditions, which scientists can tell them. What are they? Is it wind? Is it heat? Is it floods? Raising the floor of any house so that it's not at street level, it's higher. So then you escape 1 foot of flooding. Okay? All those things need to be looked at. The temperatures will sometimes be cold. It says climate change will be heat, but sometimes it's the other way, be too cold. There'll be temperature drops that are extreme, even frost in the highlands. So the need, for example, to suggest to populations to have the ability to stop draft coming through the windows, which cool the house. And
tree planting, would the tree planting...
These are impacts, impact to the population. The other ones, as you are mentioning, are mitigation. Mitigation, you plant trees to take carbon away from the air. That is reducing pollution. I'm talking about our crisis is here. How do you protect yourself? That is adaptation type thing. And I think it's the most immediate thing, in addition to a bit of mitigation. The biggest mitigation that has to be done is by the big polluters. US, China, India, EU, reduce. For us, mitigation is slightly less, but yes, planting trees is a good idea because of protecting the soil from floods, increasing the possibility of water going down into the lower layers and not flowing on the surface. Yes.
But what leverage do we have to put pressure on the big polluters? What leverage do we have?
None, because we act powerless. And there was one meeting where Museveni was supposed to speak for the African side. And he went and got derailed and spoke for them, helped them. This lack of awareness that you have to stay on your side with your team and fight. And then they fight and then they don't implement what has to be done. We have little power in this. So it's a political situation there than us. We are just victims at the moment. So we can only look at our adaptation and what we can do at the local level to make the impacts less at the moment, as we hope that the politics and the economics would change there to reduce the level of pollution, which, as I say, already there is enough to last, not to increase.